Hi there, it's Snejana Peasant here, personal trainer, owner of Sentience Personal Training. And today I've got a video for you that will teach you how to work out your portions and timing your food, when to eat and how much to eat without any calorie counting, which will help you to reach your weight loss goals. So we're going to dive right into it. First thing I'm going to show you is the basic meal planning guidelines that we teach. So if you have a look, we've got our 5 meals. We've got breakfast, snack, lunch, snack and dinner. What's important here is the meal timing, and this is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So you'll find that the optimum time to get breakfast in is anywhere between 5 and 8 a.m. and then every 3 to 4 hours after that. So you may already be doing this, and that is that eating every 3 to 4 hours apart. But I'm going to show you something else in terms of how you can use those timings to actually dictate how much food you have, and something that you probably haven't thought of just yet. So let's move on to the next slide, and I will come back to explaining these food groups. So in a healthy style of eating and using our timing as portion control, this is what it would look like. So say for example, if we have a meal, and this could be either breakfast or it could be lunch. Let's pick breakfast just for being the start of the day, and we'll see how it plays out from there. So if you're having breakfast at say 7 o'clock in the morning, you should be having just enough that you feel satisfied. It's like, yeah, that feels good. It doesn't feel like you've had too much, so you don't end up with that feeling like, oh, that was just a bit too much. And I know normally that when clients do experience that feeling, it is more so around the dinner time. So talking about breakfast, we've had our breakfast, we feel satisfied, we've eaten to about 80% full. 3 to 4 hours later, we have a meal again. However, what happens in between that, around about 15 to 20 minutes before this 3 to 4 hours has passed, is we start to feel hungry. So what happens is the amount of nutrients and calories that you've consumed in this meal here takes you out to just before that 3 to 4 hour time frame where you eat your next meal. So this is a really important step, because every time before we eat, we must feel this hunger. A lot of the clients fall down in what happens in the next slide. I'll show you that now. So still having your breakfast at say 7 o'clock in the morning. This time though, you're feeling like you've probably had too much. Okay, you're probably feeling that, oh, geez, my tummy feels nice and full. The issue with that is we've got this consumption of nutrients and calories that takes us out to longer than that 3 to 4 hours. So what happens is that you're probably eating your meal, but you're not really feeling that hungry. But you know that 3 to 4 hours have passed, and I've told you that you need to eat. A lot of the time we do get this situation where clients are eating in response to the clock and not actually their hunger. So what happens is that here is, as I've mentioned, the nutrients and calories that you've consumed take you out beyond that 3 to 4 hours. If we were to sort of let that go and see how long it would take to utilize all those nutrients and calories, it would probably be way after the point where you've actually added some extra. So what happens is you've got this period of time where you've got this overlap of calories or this excess, and it's something that the body didn't need. At this point here, the body wasn't asking for food, you weren't feeling hungry, and it's an interesting point to really connect with our hunger, because hunger is a very clear and direct signal from the body that's telling us, I need some nutrients, I need some food, I need to be fed. If that signal is not there, then we shouldn't be feeding ourselves. The body's not asking for it, it's not needing it, it can sustain itself with what's in the system already. It is a really important weight loss strategy, and especially to keep the weight off over the long term, is that you are eating predominantly in response to hunger. And I do say predominantly because there are going to be social times and other times where you're eating because someone's offered you something and they've brought it over and they've just made it for you and you're probably not that hungry. Or there might be, you might pop into a friend's and they've offered you a biscuit, that type of thing. But generally, day to day, where it matters is that when you are eating, if we go back to the previous slide, you should have your meal. 3 to 4 hours later, you should be eating again and you should be quite hungry for that meal. 15 to 20 minutes before you actually do eat your next meal, whether it be your snack or if we're coming up to lunchtime, you should be feeling hungry. Now, it's really important to sit with that feeling of hunger for about 15 to 20 minutes before you actually feed yourself again. That's an opportunity to really use up the body for it to use up its stores, but it's also an opportunity for the body to not be involved in digestion of food and can, utilize some of the stored nutrients and calories from previous meals where we've probably eaten in excess. But it's also an opportunity where the body can just switch off that mechanism of digestion, partially anyway, and move into other functions such as healing and repair. And it's interesting when you do start to allow yourself to feel that hunger, and the body can engage in this time in other activities, that you will start to feel more energetic, you'll start to feel lighter, and your body generally functions and is all ready again, so that when you do eat this meal, it doesn't have the burden of food still in the system that's underutilized, but it's ready to receive the next meal. And you're eating in response to what the body is asking for. Now, feeling hunger may be foreign. It may be a feeling that you haven't felt for a long time. And it's a feeling that you need to start to look for some signs towards and start to reconnect with that. And the more you pay attention to it, you will find you will actually start to feel it. You'll know what it feels like. You'll know what it's like to sit with that feeling, and it's okay, it's safe, nothing's going to happen to you, to sit with that feeling for a short period of time and then eating. So the way that we use this as portion control is that, for example, if you have had this meal, okay, and then you find that 3 to 4 hours pass, but you're still not feeling hungry, such as in this slide, then what you would do is with 100% clarity that this meal was too big. So what you can do the next day is adjust the quantity of this meal, and it will take a little bit of time to really get an idea of how much your body needs to take you through to that next meal, and sort of just under that time. Over time, as you start to lose more and more weight, you will find that the quantities of food will gradually reduce with that process. So that's how you can work on your calorie counting and not have to do it, work on your portions by eating in such a way that you feel hungry every 3 to 4 hours. And the question I oftentimes get is, well, I'm not waking up hungry. Well, if you're not waking up hungry, you need to look at the last meal, which would have been the dinner meal, or if you were doing some late night snacking, and you need to adjust that, because you can guarantee that that was probably too late and too big. So we're always working towards reducing our quantities and feeling hungry at each of our meal, and more importantly, feeding ourselves in response to a signal from the body that it actually needs nutrients and food. One thing that I do need to touch on, though, is hunger and not allowing yourself to get too hungry. So I'll show you this slide first, which is the hunger scale. So as you can see, the hunger scale is from 1 to 10. So 1 is physical starvation, feeling dizzy and weak. And number 10 is feeling so full that you actually feel sick, throwing up, that you've just had too much, a real tightening in your tummy. It's that feeling of, that Christmas luncheon or dinner where you're undoing the top button and you just can't be bothered and it's all too much and you feel quite yuck about yourself. So we never want to get to either end of these extremes. We always want to keep somewhere in the middle. And I'll tell you why. So when we are looking at how hungry we should get, we should probably get to this 2 leaning towards the 3. So that is when you're starting to get pretty hungry, your stomach's beginning to growl. So you should sort of be feeling that hunger, that beginning to feel hungry at 4, and then sort of sitting in that, so that 15 to 20 minutes that you're getting down to 3. So what happens is that you are starting to feel hungry. You know, you might experience it as a little bit of distraction from your work, looking forward to the snack, that type of thing. If you allow yourself to get too hungry and you get to number 1 or number 2, where you're very hungry, you're irritable, you've got low energy levels and large amounts of stomach growling, you might even get a headache and start to feel a bit dizzy, we're sort of moving into that 1. At that point, it is really tough to make conscious decisions around food and to eat slowly and make better choices. At that point in time, the body's gone into survival mode and it basically wants the sugariest and the fattiest things as quickly as possible. And that's where making healthy choices that I'm trying to teach you on go out the window, and you're reaching for chocolate chips, biscuits, cakes, anything that you can get in really quickly, and it's usually large quantities of it. So we only ever want to get ourselves to number 3, and then on the opposite end of the scale, you sort of want to get to number 6. So slightly full, pleasantly full. We never want to get into 8, 9, and definitely we don't want to go to 10. Because when you are feeling that you have had too much, when you've got that sensation in your body like, oh, that was too much, and we've all felt it at some point in time, just understand that is, again, just like there's the hunger signal, that's a direct signal from the body telling you that was too much, I did not need that, and now I'm going to store it for you for next time if there's a famine or the crop dies or, you know, whatever there is, there's a drought. Because the body's only really interested in survival. So it's really important to understand the signals of the body and understand that when you get that feeling of I've had too much, it's not just you saying it to yourself and feeling it in your tummy, but there is repercussion of that. And the repercussion is the body is clearly, as I said, telling you, I did not need that much. I don't need this much. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I can't process this. And it will just store it. And that is weight gain. So just understand that every time you have that feeling, you can guarantee you've added a bit of extra weight to your body. So going back to this slide then, if we're skipping meals and not eating regularly, again, if we're having this breakfast and we're skipping it, 3 to 4 hours later, this should now be that you've skipped the meal, you're starting to feel a little bit hungry there, excuse that typo. 6 to 8 hours later, you get into that starving and into that binge mode. So you're getting into that number 2 and number 1 on the hunger scale, as we saw. And as I said, really tough to argue with yourself at that point in time and sit there and make yourself a really healthy salad or try and, eat through some carrots or anything raw. The body just wants the quickest fix, and that's usually something that's really high calorie, high fat. So there you have it. If we go through and summarize that really quickly, we need to make sure that you're eating every 3 to 4 hours, but make sure that you are hungry at each meal. So the timing of the meal dictates the quantity, because basically you should be eating just enough that's going to take you out to 3 to 4 hours later. And there's the period of time where you're going to sit in hunger and sort of go, okay, like I really need to start to get that lunch organised, or I really need to start to go and grab my snack because I'm starting to get quite hungry. Adjust your quantities to suit. If you are not feeling that every 3 to 4 hours, take a look at your quantities. And a good rule of thumb is to take out like a quarter of your food or a fifth of the food and see what happens. If you find you get to the next day in the same sort of timing and you're still not feeling hungry, take out a little bit more. Again, as I said, over time, the more weight you lose, the quantities will decrease and decrease. And it's extraordinary that we actually need so little food to survive, and we actually do feel a lot better when we're dealing with less food in our system, because it's a huge burden on the body to digest food, and the digestion of food does produce toxins in our system. So the less of that going on, the better the body really much prefers it. So make sure that you're sitting feeling a little hungry for that 15 to 30 minutes. But as I said, again, not going beyond that 3 on the hunger scale. And avoid skipping meals and not getting too hungry. Now, remember to eat the right combinations to feel fuller for longer. And I am going to scroll back through and just show you those meal combinations again. The importance of meal combining is that it will allow you to feel fuller for longer. So you actually feel fuller with less food. So if you have a look at this chart, oh, here we go. If you have a look at this table, breakfast should be composed of a grain plus a protein plus a fruit or a vegetable. Snack should be composed of protein plus fruit or veg, so on and so forth. So you will find that protein is the common denominator at each of them. And the reason why we need to combine these food groups in this way is it does give us a variety of nutrients, but as I said, it gives you that feeling of fuller for longer. As well as getting all the different food groups, it will satisfy the needs of the body. So for example, if you've done a pretty big workout and the muscles need some repair and the body needs protein and some other nutrients, and you just have some slices of bread with butter on it, the body's looking for that protein. So even if you had 4 slices of bread with butter on it, a couple of hours later, the body's going to digest that and go, wow, thanks for that. That was really great. I still need protein. So it will send the hunger signal again because it needs something specific. So by getting the right combinations of food and really feeding what the body needs in the way of nutrients, it is going to leave you feeling fuller for longer and feeling satisfied with food. Also, protein does take longer to digest than carbohydrate, so therefore it's more of a slower release in terms of nutrients than what, as I said, a slice of bread or pasta would do. So take a look at these, print these out and put it up somewhere where you can see it, because regardless of whether you're preparing your meals at home or whether you're out, you can really take these combinations if you remember them, and it's really quite easy to order. So if you're going out for dinner and you're at a Thai restaurant, you could go chicken with your protein with some cashews and a vegetable stir fry. If it was a training day, awesome, have a little bit of rice, a quarter of the plate. If not, omit the rice. Same thing with your morning snack, some form of protein and a fruit or veg. So that could be yogurt with some fruit, or it could be some nuts with some veggie sticks. But making sure that you get in the right combinations is really going to help with that feeling of satisfaction and also eating less. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that makes a lot of sense and I've explained it to you, and you can start to think about feeling hungry at every meal. If you do have any questions, please send them through. I would love to answer your questions. And if you have any comments, please leave a comment. I would absolutely love your feedback.